French President Emmanuel Macron calls a snap election after his party lost out by a wide margin to the far right in European Parliament election. In Israel, former military chief and centrist member of the war cabinet Benny Gantz announces his resignation. And dragon boat races in various parts of Hong Kong. Hello and welcome to TVB News. French President Emmanuel Macron has called a snap election after his party's poor showing in a vote for the European Parliament. He lost out by a wide margin to Marine Le Pen's far-right party. Across much of Europe, right-wing groups performed well. David Garrett reports.
Après avoir procédé aux consultations.
This is why I'm calling a parliamentary election, the president said in a surprise move. There will be elections on June 30th, Macron told a stunned French electorate, with a second round on July 7th. Macron admitted he could not act as if nothing happened. This is what happened, an unprecedented night of success for the far right as Emmanuel Macron's pro-European Renaissance Party performed pitifully in European elections. Marine Le Pen's national rally romping to a victory with 32%, double the votes of Macron's party. Beside 28-year-old protégé Jordan Bardella, Le Pen told supporters she welcomes Macron's decision. The anti-European campaigner told jubilant supporters, "We are ready. If people place trust in us in these future elections, we can turn the country around and defend French interests." Macron is hoping to stop this momentum. The president, who is not used to losing, is taking a gamble, as reflected in Monday's newspapers. Macron is banking on voters backing him when faced with the real possibility of far-right politicians at the apex of power in Paris.
The extreme right is really high in our country and the European level. And when you love your people, when you love your country, when you love French people, you need to take risk in order to understand their preoccupation and to listen and to act.
Germany's Chancellor Olaf Scholz is another leader trying to limit damage. Voters did not follow Scholz, whose Social Democrats polled a paltry 14%. The second biggest party in Scholz's coalition, the environmentalist Greens, also performed badly. German flags waved as the far-right Alternative for Germany made gains with 16%, up from 11% at the last European elections in 2019. The trend has been for far-right parties to improve their standing across the new-look European Parliament. And not only opposition parties. Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni consolidated her position at home and abroad as her right-wing party performed well. She thanked voters as similar parties in Austria, Slovenia and Spain made gains. Centre, Liberal and Socialist parties will still hold the majority of seats in the European Parliament, but with Meloni now holding a third of Italy's seats and like-minded parties growing in stature, Meloni can put pressure on European Commission Chief Ursula von der Leyen.
The centre is holding. But it is also true that the extremes on the left and on the right have gained support. And this is why the result comes with great responsibility for the parties in the centre.
Von der Leyen's Christian Democrats marginally improved their position, but pro-business Renew, Social Democrats and Greens all took losses. Another big loser was outgoing Belgian Prime Minister Alexander De Croo. He became emotional as he thanked supporters, but his Liberal Party won only 7% as nationalist parties dominated the general election. David Garrett, TVB News.
Benny Gantz, a former military chief and centrist member of Israel's three-man war cabinet, announced his resignation on Sunday. Gantz accused Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of putting his own political survival over the country's security needs. Netanyahu's coalition still holds the majority in parliament, but his main allies are now hardliners who were against a U.S.-backed ceasefire deal. His resignation comes 2 days after Israel rescued 4 hostages from central Gaza in a raid that caused the deaths of more than 270 Palestinians. Nazvi Karim has more.
Centrist Benny Gantz's resignation on Sunday will likely do nothing to threaten Benjamin Netanyahu's hold on power. But it does leave the Israeli Prime Minister reliant on friends who much of the world, particularly the United States, dislike. Gantz's exit from Netanyahu's emergency government and the three-man war cabinet is opening the door for hardliners Itamar Ben-Gvir and Bezalel Smotrich to gain greater influence. Both men have publicly talked about Israelis moving into Gaza once the war is over, a stance that goes against a two-state solution being pushed by the US and most of the world. Gantz had given Netanyahu a June 8th deadline to formulate a clear post-war strategy for Gaza, something the Prime Minister had repeatedly scoffed at. He said in a press conference that it was an excruciating decision to resign, but felt Netanyahu is preventing Israel from real victory. He also called on Minister of Defense and War Cabinet member Yoav Gallant, who he called brave and a patriot, to do the right thing without elaborating. Netanyahu responded via social media, telling Gantz it was no time to abandon the battlefront. At a Jerusalem meeting of the Courage Forum, made up of families of deceased soldiers, Netanyahu said Israel was fighting on 7 fronts. This, he said, included the International Criminal Court, which is pursuing a plausible genocide case against Israel. Gantz had delayed his press conference on Saturday when Israel launched a raid on Nusayrat in central Gaza, during which they rescued 4 hostages held by Hamas, but also killed more than 270 Palestinians, including dozens of children. Israel's military released new footage of the operation, which freed Noah Argamani, 26, Almog Maya Jan, 22, Andrei Kozlov, 27, and Shlomi Ziv, 41. Meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken arrived in Egypt from Paris, where he attended D-Day's commemorations. It's his 8th diplomatic mission to the region since war broke out on October 7th. Blinken will also visit Israel, Jordan and Qatar, hoping to revive a fragile ceasefire deal that would see all hostages being released and an eventual permanent ceasefire. Nazri Karim, TVB News.
Infighting between Hong Kong U President Zhang Xiang and the University Council has yet to come to an end. Sources said Chief Executive John Lee, who is also the HKU Chancellor, personally met with Zhang and Council Chairwoman Priscilla Wong in a bid to end the conflict within the institution's top governing body. The government is currently looking into establishing a coordination group to handle the dispute. Timothy Lee tells us more.
Chief Executive John Lee earlier tasked the Education Bureau with following up on the quarrel between the University of Hong Kong's council and HKU President Zhang Xiang. Sources said the CE, who is also Chancellor of the university, met with Zhang and Council Chairwoman Priscilla Wong on separate occasions to better understand their respective views and facilitate communication between the two parties. At the end of September last year, Zhang faced allegations of inappropriate behavior from anonymous sources, who claimed the HKU president hired headhunters without following procurement procedures to help select the dean of the medical school as well as the university's vice presidents. An investigation conducted by the university's council indicated that the charges were invalid. Reports say the chief executive already met with both Zhang and Wong after that incident. This as the two parties also relayed their perspectives on the recent appointment of the university's vice presidents to the CE. Sources said authorities are looking into establishing a coordination group to resolve the matter. Meanwhile, Choi So-yok, a former Hong Kong deputy to the National People's Congress and an HKU alumna, says she hopes the coordination group and the CE could prevent further bloodshed within the university's top governing body. She added that all parties should prioritize the bigger picture of the city's reputation. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
Today is Dragon Boat Festival. Dragon boat races are held across the city to celebrate the occasion. Mo Sing-ai was in Sha Tin, a traditional district, for dragon boat racing.
The first event of the dragon boat races on the Shingmu River at Sha Tin started just after 8 a.m. Despite the hot and humid weather, athletes were enthusiastic and morale was high. Paddlers from various government departments and companies, such as the ICC and CLP Power, joined the event. Traditionally, Shingmu River is seen as the ideal site to watch dragon boat races because of the field it offers. The site also attracted tourists.
Why did you choose to come to this one?
Because we heard about it. It's for us the first time we see it, and it's nice to see. We had expected to see a bigger dragons. It's all now smaller.
Really good. I want it to rain now to cool down.
The dragon boat races in Sha-Tin has a history of 40 years. One of the features of the event is that the audience will be able to see phoenix boats, a rare appearance in other races. Meanwhile, Stanley was packed with athletes and spectators for the International Dragon Boat Championships. This team performed boxing to warm up before their battle, while this group decided to rehearse themselves. This group of ladies dressed up as Barbie to compete in their race.
Very happy about this. We gave it our full force.
In Thailand, the celebration of Dragon Boat Festival incorporates religious elements. A Dragon Boat water parade is organized by 3 fishermen's associations every year. Members of the associations paddled their dragon boats to visit 4 temples in Thailand to receive statues of Yuan Hao, Tin Hao, Guan Tai, and Hong Sheng. The statues were then brought back to the halls of the associations by scared boats. After the worship rituals, the statues were returned to their respective temples. The religious parade started in Thailand in the 19th century after the onset of a plague. Fishermen at that time hoped that rituals would drive away the bad luck. Secretary for Development Bernetta Lin, who was at the Thailand celebration, said the government strives to preserve local traditions while developing the city. News 9, TVB News.
A drone show that features Dragon Boat Festival elements will be displayed above Victoria Harbour at 8 p.m. tonight. The whole show will last for 10 minutes, and the public is advised to head to the Wan Chai Harbourfront to watch the gala. 1,000 drones will create patterns such as rice dumplings, dragon boat races, and flying dragons to celebrate the festival. It is a tradition to eat sticky rice dumplings on Dragon Boat Festival. The dumplings often come in 2 types, sweet and savory. This shop, specializing in the food items, said they can sell roughly 1,500 of them in a single day. While their dumplings are cheaper than last year, they said the price did not attract more customers than before. Many residents made the most of the Dragon Boat Festival to swim in waters off Hong Kong shores, but studies show that most beaches in the city suffer from poor water quality, particularly those located in Tsuen Wan. Some scholars say such areas have been affected by years of bacterial growth due to a mistake in drainage pipe connections and the accumulation of waste in the Rambler Channel. Timothy Lee reports.
The combination of the annual festival and the summer heat makes for perfect family moments to dive into the waters of Hong Kong. Many choosing to do so in areas where dragon boat races take place. But not all beaches are recommended, such as the Tin Khao Beach in Tsuen Wan, which suffers from a high concentration of E. coli bacteria.
Swimmers are advised not to enter the water as the E. coli count in the beach water far exceeds the safety standard.
While some residents left the waters after hearing the broadcasted reminder, many chose to stay. This girl says she's not afraid, adding that she can play at home if she gets sick. This woman says she became concerned after hearing about E. coli and would only eat after cleaning her hands. While this woman noticed she won't enter the water in Tsuen Wan because of how dirty it is. Besides Tin Khao Beach, 4 other beaches in Tsuen Wan, consisting of Kasan Beach, Approach Beach, Lido Beach, and Hoi Mei Beach, were listed as having extremely poor water quality. Others listed in the same category include Silvermine Bay and Puyo Beach. Ho Kin Chung, an honorary professor of geography in the University of Hong Kong, said the drainage pipes in many old houses in Tsuen Wan are illegally connected, resulting in nearby sewage treatment facilities unable to eliminate much of the bacteria. He added that the large amount of waste in the neighboring Rambler Channel also plays a role in polluting the water in Tsuen Wan. In an earlier policy address, the government mentioned its goal of reducing drainage pollution by 50% at the end of this year, and indicated it will build a dry weather flow interceptor to prevent the increase of E. coli. The measures have yet to be implemented. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
Still ahead, Narendra Modi sworn in for a 3rd term as India's Prime Minister. Police classify the death of a man abandoned outside the North District Hospital as murder. And some 40 cats killed in a fire in Yuen Long. Welcome back. Narendra Modi was sworn in Sunday for a rare third consecutive term as India's Prime Minister. This time he is relying on his coalition partners after his party failed to secure a parliamentary majority in the country's recent general election. Tracy Furness has more.
Thousands turned out for Narendra Modi's swearing-in ceremony on Sunday. The 73-year-old pledged his allegiance to India for a third consecutive time alongside his cabinet ministers. Indian President Draupadi Murmu administered the ceremony. In attendance too were leaders of some of India's neighbouring countries. Midway through the inauguration, news came that at least 9 people were killed and 33 injured when a bus carrying Hindu pilgrims plunged into a gorge after a suspected militant attack in the federal territory of Jammu and Kashmir, drawing criticism of the security situation from the opposition Congress Party. No one has claimed responsibility for the attack, but rebel groups have been fighting since 1989 for Kashmir's independence or merger with neighbouring Pakistan. Last Wednesday's election results showed Modi's BJP won 240 seats, well below the 272 needed for a majority. Together, the parties in the National Democratic Alliance, or NDA, coalition secured 293 seats in the 543-member lower house of parliament. This is the first time Modi's Bharatiya Janata Party, or BJP, has needed the support from regional allies to form a government after a decade of commanding the majority in parliament. Modi's coalition government now largely depends on 2 key regional allies, the Telugu Desam Party in southern Andhra Pradesh state and Janata Dal in eastern Bihar state, to stay in power. Modi's political challenger, the Indian National Development Inclusive Alliance, led by the resurgent Congress Party, put up a stronger than expected fight, doubling its strength from the last election to win 232 seats. Modi is a popular but polarising leader and only the second Indian Prime Minister after Jawaharlal Nehru to retain power for a third 5-year term. Tracy Furness, TVB News.
In Greece, the body of a British television presenter and author was found on Sunday after a days-long search. Dr. Michael Mosley went missing on the Greek island of Symi on Wednesday afternoon. His body was spotted Sunday on a rugged stretch of coast by a party on board a boat that included the local mayor and journalists. Mosley's wife said her husband took the wrong route on a hike and collapsed just short of reaching a marina. Mosley was well known in Britain for his television programs and appearances on TV and radio, and he had a column in the Daily Mail newspaper. He's also known outside of the UK for his 2013 book, The Fast Diet, which proposed the so-called 5-2 program for losing weight by fasting 2 days a week. Mosley was 67 years old. Police have classified the recent death of a man as murder. The man was found lying unconscious outside the North District Hospital early last Saturday. Authorities arrested 1 person in connection with the case yesterday. The 23-year-old deceased man was found lying outside the hospital shortly before 6 a.m. last Saturday. He died after resuscitation efforts failed. Police said their investigation revealed a dark-colored private car was involved in the incident. Officers found the vehicle in Wangchuk Yun on Sunday. It was fitted with a fake license plate and was believed to have been used to carry and then drop off the victim outside the hospital. Authorities also found traces of blood and a taser inside the vehicle. Officers arrested a 32-year-old man the same evening in Tin Shui Wai. Around 40 cats in Yunlong died after a metal shack they were staying in caught fire. The metallic structure is located on Kam Shui South Road near Kam Shung Road. It was seriously damaged in the fire. Animal rights groups also arrived at the scene to review the situation. Police received reports at around 11 this morning about a fire breaking out in a 2-story metal shack. Fire services personnel found the bodies of some 40 cats. Preliminary investigations indicate the fire was likely caused by an air conditioner short-circuiting. Thanks for watching. Pearl Mag is up shortly. Bye for now.